Coming up on Look Today, well, we've got continuing coverage of the challenges Shelters of Saratoga face in the upcoming weeks. I've got details. And we've got more on a proposal that will significantly affect a number of organizations in Warren and Washington counties. And Saratoga Springs continues to work to provide public Wi-Fi access throughout the city. All ahead on Look Today. Welcome, everyone. I'm Jay Hood Jackson, and this is Look Today. On tonight's program, I sit down with John Coppola. Now, he's Executive Director, Alcohol and Substance Abuse Providers in New York State, and he's here to talk about his expertise and experience dealing with the opioid pandemic. This is part two of my interview with him. That interview is really something. Plus, I also sit down with Elizabeth Sobel. She's the president of the Saratoga Performing Arts Center, and she's here to talk about SPAC's 2018 classical season. It's part one of my interview with her. We got a lot to talk about. Plus, we've got your weather for the Tri-North counties, but first, these headline stories. Well, in our lead story, we've got some continuing coverage of the challenges Shelters of Saratoga face in the coming weeks. Now, as we told you yesterday, a second lawsuit has been filed against the City Saratoga Springs Zoning Board of Appeals. Now, neighbors of that site are protesting the proposed building of the Code Blue shelter, stating it's not appropriate for the neighborhood. Now, the proposed site would be located behind the current Shelters of Saratoga building on Walworth Street. Well, a decision on the appeal will be made by the end of the month. Well, today we spoke to Mike Finocchi. He's Executive Director of Shelters of Saratoga.
Well, I mean, it's more time that we have to put into it, whereas, when this plan first went into place, we really, the doors of the new Code Blue shelter could have been opened at the end of December. Okay, so now this just obviously pushes this project back a little bit. As far as our daily operations go with Code Blue, it's business as usual. We're not going to stop, we're not going to slow down. We still have individuals to serve and individuals who need our help and need our assistance.
Okay, in other news, well, we've got more on a proposal that would or could significantly affect a number of organizations in Warren and Washington County. Well, currently, the Warren County Board of Supervisors is reviewing a proposal to change the meal program at the Cedars Senior Living Community Center. Now, this would cut the kitchen staff at the center, but also affect a number of different organizations. Now, as a result, some of the Warren County supervisors are taking a closer look at that proposal. Some have raised concern, such as a lack of communication involved in the decision-making process between them. Now, one of the organizations could be affected is the First Presbyterian Church of Glens Falls. And we spoke to Reverend John Barclay about how his congregation could be affected.
It will put some additional burdens on our staff in terms of cleanup after the meals and all of that, which, as I said, isn't a huge deal, but it's another responsibility for an already small staff.
Wow, switching from news to weather. I don't have to tell you that it's snowing and it's coming down slow, steady, 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 steady. And now they're saying we can expect an accumulation of maybe about a foot. However, the snow is expected to taper off later on tonight. Now, businesses and city offices closed early today. Roads are very dangerous, so take caution when driving. So let's see how the rest of the week is shaping up. For a more detailed look at our weather, let's head to the Glens Falls Weather Center for a look at your first forecast.
Thank you, Jesse. I'm meteorologist Clarence Sponsor with your first look weather update here on Look TV. Let's take a look at your national forecast. Bringing you this cold front eventually coming through the area with low pressure over New England. So we've had a lot of snow over the last several days. High pressure is still in control across much of the Midwest and portions of the Southeast. But we got to get through this low pressure system this evening. 10 in Albany, 8 in Burlington. So a cold night ahead across the Capital District, about 12 in Clifton Park, Saratoga Springs as well, 9 Fort Edward, 10 Whitehall. So you know the drill. Bundle up. Make sure you put on that extra blanket. And be prepared to take your time on those roads because they're all snow covered. 10 in Glens Falls, 4 in Johnsburg, 6 in Parsville. We could see an additional 1 to 2 inches of snow early in the evening. Then we could see the skies clear out. It's mostly sunny mid-20s as we recover from that snow system. Northwest wind at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Wind chills those single digits as we wake up to mid to upper teens. Partly cloudy skies through the 8 a.m. hour. Extended forecast. Be prepared for more snow heading into the weekend with highs mid-20s for Friday, lower 30s Saturday, upper 30s Sunday, so we could see some rain mixing in as overnight lows will bump up back to the upper 20s. Cold front comes through back in the mid-30s or so, heading into Monday with an overnight low of 23. That was your weather update here on First Look Weather here on Look TV. I'm meteorologist Clarence Sponsor. Now send it back to you, Jesse.
Thanks very much, Clarence. Well, it looks like if we make it through tonight, tomorrow's going to be beautiful. Can you imagine looking at this snow with the sunshine? All right, back to the news. Well, as part of a big initiative to create access, Wi-Fi access throughout all of Saratoga Springs, the Saratoga City Council met last night to discuss the access in Congress Park. Now, this is part of the SMART initiative. Finance Commissioner Michelle Madigan is spearheading the initiative, and she hopes to provide gigabyte fiber access to every home and business in Saratoga Springs. And Michelle spoke about this last night.
As I mentioned during last week's State of the City, public Wi-Fi in Congress Park is now available through the network. It's called Saratoga Free Public. I would note that there are a few areas with limited connectivity, but we are working with Time Warner to correct that issue as soon as possible. I really want to thank the IT department and the Department of Public Works for all the work that they've done to make this project a success. It actually took a little longer than I had expected. We had some hurricanes which delayed the receiving of some of the equipment that we needed, but it is up and running. So maybe this summer we'll see some real benefits to that.
Oh, hats off to Michelle. She's very dedicated about getting this done. Up next, I sit down with John Coppola. Now, he's the Executive Director of Alcoholism and Substance Abuse Providers for the state of New York. He's here to talk about his expertise in dealing with the opioid pandemic, not epidemic, pandemic. That's why you've got to see this interview. It is also part 2. Plus, I also sit down with Elizabeth Sobel. Now, she's the president of the Saratoga Performing Arts Center, and she's here to talk about SPAC's 2018 classical season. It is an exciting season, and it's part 1 of my interview with her. But first, if you see news happening, you want to share a story idea, how about join us for an interview? Then give us a call on the hotline. The number is 798-8000. That's all the time we have for this edition of Look Today. No lookouts tonight because we want to get the you-know-what out of here with this snow. So I guess it's the weather is the lookout. Please be careful out there. We hear all the roads are bad. We hear the Northway is bad. So be careful. And tonight on Look TV, you can see Saratoga City Council meeting, a brand new one. And don't forget, tune in tomorrow night for the stories that matter to you. Be safe, everyone. See you tomorrow. Good night.